What's up, YouTube? Brett at the Movies here, bringing guys another movie review. Today I'm reviewing Screamboat. This is the newest public domain horror film that just came out to Blu-ray on May 2nd. It's directed by Stephen LaMorta. It's also produced by his wife, Amy Shoemaker. It stars Allison Pitel and Jesse Posey, along with David Howard Thornton and Amy Shoemaker. And it's about a group, Steamboat Willie going on a rampage on the New York ferry, and now these people have to survive. As passengers tell, there's a tiny terror. So pretty much that is what the movie is. It is just Willie going wild on a rampage on this boat, and these passengers have to survive. So with the public domain horror being kind of a thing, thanks to the Blood and Honey film, a lot of people have been going into this now. They have stated, the Blood and Honey people have said they're not doing anything Mickey Mouse because it's hard to get, and you could get sued. Now they did end up doing a Mousetrap. The Mousetrap that came out last year, along with Mouse of Horrors, I think, or Mouse of Horrors came out this year. Mousetrap came out last year, which was announced January 1st, 2024. It was already in post-production. That was originally titled Mickey's Mousetrap, but they had to change the title, even though they still have Mickey Mouse in the name, but it was more based on Steamboat Willie. Didn't do well in terms of, it's a lot of people consider it the worst film of last year. I didn't hate it like that, but the second I viewed it a second time, I was less enthused about where the future of that was going. So, and then you have Mouse of Horrors, and outside of Louis Santar, who plays the killer with the Mickey Mouse mask, which is a cool looking mask, that movie had no saving grace. To be honest, that movie, honestly, I was too kind on it. There's a scene in that movie that just makes no fucking sense for why they have that in that scene and why they even tried to have that scene. I don't know. It just bothers me. If you do not have the budget for something, do not attempt that, because it will make your movie that much worse. Even if the movie might still not have been good, but at least you don't have something to cringe at, or just like, that is awful. Why would you attempt that? You don't have the budget. I don't know that, but what Screamboat was able to achieve, because thanks to the producer, they had the producers of Terrifier, producers of Terrifier 2 and 3 here. They had a bigger budget from Stephen and Amy did the Mean One, which I think did well enough, so they were able to come and been able to get Screamboat, which I think was going to be the best of the bunch, even by default, of the Mickey Mouse, because there's still some other ones coming out, and you're just not sure. You also have the Popeye stuff coming out. But so what they were able to achieve here, with the effects and how they were able to trick the camera and certain angles and stuff with David Howard Thornton as Steamboat Willie, I think was really impressive what they were able to do, because I'm sure even with what they had to work with. Now I was looking it up. They're saying there's no number out there how much they're saying the budget was $2 million for Screamboat. I can kind of see that, considering the producer, because Terrifier 3 did spend $2 million on their last 3. It cost $2 million, but they probably would have had to use half of the budget at least on the effect to make Steamboat Willie work, and then you had to use the rest probably for practical effects and stuff. So they probably had to have that kind of budget. So I'm not sure. But for what they were able to get out of that budget, they have whatever it was. I think they did a good job. Outside of some stuff like with some like water, like towards the end, and maybe the electrical scene, particularly where a bunch of people get electrocuted. I would say that's probably the more iffiest scene in the film, but it still wasn't too bad. So I think they did a good job. David Howard Thornton is really great as Steamboat Willie because his laugh, his just the when he just makes noise, sounds like he's not just his facial features, just the way he interacts with people, just his movements. It's just he's having a great time. He's having a blast. He's fun. And I think he had I feel like he had a personality, even if he's not talking, which is I think a flaw with the mean one, because I think they didn't have. I think the Grinch is not a public domain thing. They probably were in a challenge of making the Grinch work without the personality, because he doesn't talk in the mean one. He just grunts, and to me that kind of takes away from that character because the Grinch does talk, and he has a personality. And I think if you're going to do a slasher version of that, you need to go that. And unfortunately, they just probably didn't have the right to do that, or it was too risky to do that. I don't know. I didn't look into that, but I'm assuming that's part of the reason why they didn't have him talk in the mean one. But here they had the freedom. They were able to do what they wanted as much as they could. And I think, again, David Howard Thornton is such a talent at doing these kind of these characters. And obviously, Art is still his number one character, but I think Steamboat Willie is getting... It's not going to be up there as long as there's only going to be one film, and I still don't think he'll overtop Art. But I think he was just entertaining and fun, and just what you wanted out of Screamboat. Alison Patel, I believe is her name, and Jesse Posey, the brother or cousin, I believe, of Tyler Posey, who has a cameo in here. I think they do a solid job for what this movie is asking to be. Are there some scenes where it's really cheesy? Sure, like towards more of the end, and there's a kiss scene that happens, and it's cheesy in what she tells him, just this captain line kind of. It's cheesy, sure, but I think they work well enough. There's some stuff that they try to make serious, and it just comes off as not as genuine. But I think they do the best job, along with David Howard Thornton, and and the girl from Terrifier 2 and 3. I don't know her name on the top of my head, but as the Cinderella parody, I think she does a good job of being obnoxious, and those girls did a good job of being obnoxious. They're probably the most unlikable characters in the film, and they're your punching bags. And I enjoyed them. I also liked Amy Shoemaker, who is Stephen Lamart's wife, who also had a role in the mean one, but this time she's playing a paramedic, and I think she does a really good job here. I think she does it really well. She comes off as believable and sincere. Again, not asking her to do too much, but I think she does a really good job. I believe her. The things that and I'll get to that. Okay, so the things that are just hard to believe is some of the dialogue, or some of the way how sometimes people react to certain, or like how they convert first with people. Sometimes they just overdo it, or they're just not, there's just some scenes in there that just feels like, okay, they don't know how to converse with people, and it's meant to be over the top. Michael Levy, one of the producers of the film, he has a scene in here. Yeah, it's the most obvious. I'm like, I'm sure he had cameos and other things he's in the Terrifier films, I'm sure, and probably Steam. But this was the first one I noticed with him, particularly. Yeah, it's sorry, it's the Quentin Tarantino of cameos, to be honest, outside of From Dusk Till Dawn. But I mean, that's besides the point. But that's just telling, like, and that's probably meant to be over the top and kind of like that. But it's noticeable, and it will stand out to some people that that was not good. I know it's weird to even harp on that, but it is, you just notice it. I'm like, it's because everyone else is yelling, and everyone else is kind of like, in the security with the white shirt, he's having an intense thing. It's over the top, but he comes off as kind of, there's something about him I kind of believe, and then shit happens, obviously. And but as certain things like that, there's certain things that people do that they try to make force. There's a scene where the Cinderella character is trying to open the door, and she's trying really hard, but it's like okay, she's trying too hard, and then it finally opens, and you're just like, huh. That was kind of like something where I'm like, you could have handled that, done that better, or done something else, because that just comes off as just like, how, like, it's like it's supposed to be stuck, but the way you're seeing it, it's just like she's not trying as hard. I don't know, maybe that's a nitpick, but there's certain things like that, like there's the water at the end, or like someone gets pushed into the water, and it doesn't look too far down, but then the view looks like it's too far up. You're just like, huh. Like, I don't know. There's some scenes like that. It can be kind of frustrating, or like, or some of the actors are too over the top, and no, go, just go. I'll stay, or kind of thing. You have some stuff like that, which is kind of, yeah. But overall, I mean, like, but this movie knows what it is. In the end, this movie knows what it is. Oh, and the practical effects are really good. The gore is what you want. There's a couple shots you'll notice that they may not, like, they again probably didn't have enough budget to make the character look. I think there's one or two shots where the character, like, you could tell it's not the real body or head or something like that. But it is what it is. It's, again, like I said, this is the kind of movie. It gives you the gore, it gives you the humor, it gives you just the fun, and this is what I think a lot of people do want out of public domain horror, that it doesn't take itself seriously. Though I don't mind the public domain being seriously, as long as you can you build it up, and you're trying, you're putting the effort in. This has had effort. The Blood and all the Puna first films have had effort. Even the first one, even if you don't like it, which I understand, but there's effort. They were trying to make something. My problem with, like, Massive Horrors, the Mousetrap, they felt like, especially the Mousetrap, because they spent half of their budget, I believe was $800,000 on the Chuck E. Cheese, the arcade set, or whatever, that kind of set, and not enough for, like, kills and stuff like that. So they barely had stuff, and it was an hour and 20 minute. This is an hour and 43-minute movie, so it might test some people's patience. It might get low. I think the third act does get a little, it slows down a bit in the third act, towards more of the middle, like towards the end of the third. I think towards the third act it gets kind of slow a little bit, but it picks back up. Has some its moments, but in the end, do I recommend Screamboat? Yes, I gave this a 3 out of 5. 3 or 3.5 out of 5. I can't go higher than that, because some of the things that I said, even if nitpicks, can take you out of the movie. And again, some of the humor works, some of it doesn't. Some of the over the top stuff does. Like I said, the producer Michael Levy, who was the Quentin Tarantino in this film of cameo acting, is not the best, and that just even that, like, can take you out of the movie. But because of the performance of David Howard Thornton, Allison Patel, Amy Schumacher, Jesse Posey, and the practical effects and the kills. I think this is definitely a fun time. I would recommend it if you're open-minded to these kind of low-budget indie stuff. If you're open-minded, you can have some fun. But if you want to stay away from all these kind of public domains, even if it's produced by with David Howard Thornton and produced by the Terrifier 2-3 team, it's not for you, and I can understand that. So I hope you guys did enjoy this review. Let me know, what did you guys think of this movie? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys mix on it? Did you guys just think it was okay? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the public domain stuff? This is Brandon the Movies, or Brandon's Movies and Horror, signing off. Peace.